Hey, morning, folks. I may have mentioned this before, but I try not to play too much to keep the wife happy, right? So I run my RQG game every other Friday, and then I'm actually in a RQG 3 run space opera campaign every other Saturday, so they alternate out. So I play one game a weekend. But the science fiction game got canceled for this weekend due to technical issues. Um, it used to be they were at a live table, and then I was just, well, I Skyped in at first, and then started using Microsoft Teams to get me into the conference room where they were playing. But with everything going on with the Corona 14 or 19, COVID, yeah, COVID-19, they went to going online, and so the gyms be experimenting with different sorts of virtual tabletops for ship plans and moving characters around, that kind of thing. And so he's experimenting with that, but he wasn't ready for this weekend, so we went ahead and canceled it. I said, well, let's take advantage of this opportunity and see if we can all get together. And we were able to get all. Well, one player came in late, another player couldn't come in because of work schedule issue. And then we did end up losing one of our player with this whole COVID-19 thing. Playing online wasn't giving him the relaxation because of all tech issues and things like that happening. So he wasn't there either. So that's how that went. But anyway, when we started up, I was having tech issues with my volume and sound because I changed my arrangement here. I was getting, tired's not the right word, but concerned with how much stuff I was doing with my laptop. So I pulled it out of the cycle. I swapped my game laptop, which sponsors the Discord, is hosting the Discord, and is running the camera on the map grid, to being my machine. And then I had my son's old laptop, set it up, hooked it up to the camera, and set it for Discord, and so it was running the camera and hosting. The whole switching of me to my old laptop, um, all kinds of settings were off, so I had to go through and just start messing with stuff, hook up the sound, make sure the mic was on, messing with volume levels, that kind of thing. For some reason, it was at one point giving error of two programs were using my microphone, because on my machine I capture the Discord video with a screen capture software thing that I have. And apparently both it and Discord were trying to use the mic at the same time at one point. And in fact, later on, it was saying they were both using it again, but I didn't have any issues, later on. But eventually we got all of that figured out. And then we had a player didn't catch word about it starting at 8. Excuse me. So he came in about 9, I think it was. Although normally our time's 8:30. And he was having some audio issues on his side, with an open mic and sound in the background kind of thing. It gets a little distracting a number of times in the live play, which is below. Discord also, the video was really lagging because everybody on Friday night is playing because everybody's at home. So that was a little disconcerting, but we played through it. I did some more description, and every once in a while the camera will actually cycle through so they can see some of what's going on, but it's really blurry. And like I said, not just lagging by seconds, lagging by minutes. It just was not an effective tool. But we talked our way through and around that. Anyway, getting back to the game, we finally finished that combat, and it was on the peak. A couple of different times I was just rolling one way or the other. I I know one of my players is really concerned from last session that this is going to be TPK that's going to kill us. But that player put the priestess down. One of the things I've noticed is within the player group, you generally have at least somebody, if not everybody, with some kind of healing. Obviously, there's the rune spell, the common rune spell, heal wounds, which everyone has access to because we're all initiates. But having a healing 1 or a healing 2, so they can go around and spot heal and stuff like that happen. And bad guys don't always have that. In fact, every human that they have run into in this chapter of the campaign, none of them have had healing except for this one priestess. And she got that through stolen magic. So healing changes everything. That's the only way the party survived. And in the back of my head, thinking, home rules and stuff like that about, how believable do I want it to be for magical healing to be so? Well, obviously, prevalence not. I have an issue with the prevalence of it. My issue is with the sustainability of it. You don't have anybody who's after an adventure going home and resting for weeks for their healing rate to do anything. It's all magical healing right then and there. So I'm thinking, again, in the back of my head, for my concept would be a single wound, first aid, and a healing. Anything after that isn't going to do anything. You've got to do natural healing for anything after that. But that would require a whole lot of administrative tracking, right? And I don't want that. A step up from that would be each hit location, because that's easier to track. I've been hit in the arm. It was 12 points. We healed 3 with. That means we'd have to track healing again multiple times. I don't know. But just, I want healing rate to mean something. I mentioned, I think, in the previous video about using my 0 to negative healing rate being your unconscious value, so that, if you're at 0 or negative 1 or 2, you're on the battlefield, you're just unconscious, and you're not dying where, in the next minute around you're dead. Whereas taking massive damage to the head, chest, or abdomen, you're dead in like 5 minutes. I mean, there needs to be a middle ground there, and something about amputation too. So I'm going to write down a handful of home rules I'm going to discuss with the players at the beginning of next session. Hey, this is something I want to start introducing, and these are the reasons why. And the first one is thrusting and missile weapon hit location chart, like that with RQ3. Now that's the only way to go with that. It's the only thing that makes any sense. You're not hitting arms and legs when you thrust. You're hitting chest and abdomen. That's what you're aiming for that. But and then I need to inform everybody this healing rate thing. We didn't really apply. Well, I applied it to the players who weren't there. Borak, for one, was at -4, but he's got a healing rate of 4, so he was just unconscious. During the session, they eventually healed him up 1 point at a time until he became conscious. And about that time, I think somebody else went down, or there was brought up that there's the common rune spell heal wound. One of the other players wasn't aware of that, being not encrusted, being too used to RQ2 and 3, where for every sacrifice you do for rune magic, you just get the 1 spell. So unless you get healing, you're not going to have healing. So we clarified that a little bit for him, and we'll discuss that some more again at the beginning of next session. That everybody's an initiate, everybody's got access to all common spells, plus their special rune spells, and that's something that's always graded on me. 1 point of power for a special cult magic plus 12 other spells. I don't know. And it's kind of interesting how there's 3 rune points for a beginning PC, and there's spells about cult, and common spells. 3 and 3. So that's I've been thinking back in my head, but we didn't, apply that this time. Well, this game. And but anyway, Slogfest again. The bad guy fighter dude got, I think it was a headshot, so he went negative in the head. He went down. The priestess went down a couple of times, going negative. One time in her chest, so she was coughing up blood, but her bodyguard went over. I used heal on her. They've got this connection. And then stepped forward. She gets up. She reaches back behind her, finds another short sword on the ground that's not damaged like hers is. And it makes a, I'm going to take your head. It's going to, your how do I say it? I don't remember. I'm going to take your head, get your magic, and you're going to fuel my spells, kind of thing, right? And then her bodyguard went down. He had been nickel-timed a little bit. I don't remember what actually put him down, but he went down. Once he went down, she kind of freaked, cast fanaticism. But again, I'm still rolling in, 40s, 50s, 60s, not getting down. She would have specialed on like a 35. So yeah, 35 at that point with all of her magic going. Her skill rating was, well over 180. And but trying to get low enough to get that special in there, because that's the only way they could really do damage with these short swords and no damage bonus. Again, I randomly roll my guys. I don't plan them out because life gives you what you got. That's just my gameplay style philosophy. So at that point, they were able to merge on her 1, 2, 3. Her sword, she attacked, missed. The parry was a crit, and so all the damage went into the sword. So it actually went over the sword's strength. So it into the floor, all bent up. So she went for her dagger. She should have got a strike on strike rank 12 because I forgot that she's got spells that speed up her strike rank, and I had written down on her sheet that her strike rank with the dagger was 8. It was actually 6. And so she should have got an attack on strike rank 12. Actually, I guess it was 11 because it was 5 to get the dagger, and then 6 more to strike. So she should have got that last strike on Lars. But previously, sorry, it's all out of whack. It was a confusing game. I was trying to think through how does the sequence go, and I couldn't remember. Previously, though, she had got, it was a crit. It hit Lars in the head. He's got shield 3 up. So it makes sense to me that you can't bypass magic. So the magic's going to absorb. I do not have an issue with that. But the armor shouldn't have. She did 18 points of damage. 6 points of protection from the shield. Drops that down to 12. And he's got 5 points in his head. But he had a 5-point helm on. He took the 5 points for the helm off. So he only went to like -1. When he should have gone double negative plus an additional 1, which would have I think that's you're dying, losing 1 hit point per round kind of thing at that point. But the next round, they did some healing on her. It would have taken more healing to get, or him. It would have taken more healing to get on him before he could get conscious and cast healing on himself and actually do some fighting. Excuse me. Would have saved a couple of rounds, at which point she could, because she was up at that point, that was before the fanaticism, she could have gone and moved on either Borak. She would have probably gone to Borak because Borak was hitting at her. And possibly done some more damage that way. But I let it slide. I did. Essentially, it was a fudge. Instead of being a crit, it was a special. But I woke up this morning. I wake up at 5:30, weeknights or weekdays. Take my son to before school Bible study. and get my wife to the train to go up to DC, and then I go into work. I'm there by 6:30, so that's, and there's a GS there. I'm a contractor he gets there at 6:32. So I just get in there with him and start early, so I end early and I get out of there and get home and do go for a run, and then take care of. Now I'm reading and studying for my class. Like I started a class this week too. So my body's got a clock that I'll wake up 5:30. I just do. And this is what I was thinking about. Oh shoot! How much damage was that? How many hit points does he have in his head? Was that an instant death? Because he's 5 hit points. That's 15. And I kept thinking 3. I was just waking up in the morning, right? 3 from 18 is 15. 15, 5. That's 3 times 5 on his head. That's instant death. Oh no! What did I do? What did I do? What could I have done? What should I have done? No, it's 6 points of protection from the shield. So he still would have not been an instant death, but it would have taken longer to recover from it than just the one round that it did. Oh my goodness. There's some scrambling around, getting power crystal from one of the down players so they can start fueling some more spells. But it wasn't until everything was said and done they actually got to Restra, who's got the healing 6 matrix and a power crystal to actually do some healing on everybody. One of the players has got repairs, so they're able to repair their shields and weapons. It took about a half an hour for the 2 players that were out from the darkness elemental to come around. Everybody in the fight, all the bad guys in the fight are dead. The one bodyguard number 2, and priest number 2 departed. When the priestess went down, priest number 2 goes, okay, this is not going good. I got to do something. He had previously summoned. This should have been on other episodes. A spirit. It was like summon ancestor kind of thing, but it was malign, so it attacked him instead. Luckily, it wasn't that strong, so he was able to beat it down. But he's not sure about do I summon another one or not. And then she goes down, and so his bodyguard does extinguish on the. There's a lantern. Well, it's a lamp, is what it is, because they take it from one of the wall sockets. There's a lamp, and then there's a torch on the ground here. So he puts the lamp out, and then he's going to. His thought process: lamp, lantern, depart. Previous it was. Do we do lamp, lantern, and then attack? But the party is getting better rather than worse when all this stuff happens. So it's put the fire out, and go. But he puts that fire out, and then the next melee round, it gets lit. And so, okay, let's just pull back. So he pulls back, and they're gone. So the party's in this area with all these dead bodies. They start searching through, looking for, looting the bodies kind of thing. There's something unusual about the vambraces and greaves of the priestess and the bodyguard, so they take those. I forgot to mention they all had amulets, so I'll have to start off the next session with that. They all have these amulets with a skull with horns. That's tarnished silver. Excuse me. And so they would have taken those. Those would have been worth something maybe. But honestly, on them, there's no identifying stuff and nothing's really special. And there's reasons for that. So there's a discussion on: do we push through and try to finish now while our rune magic is still running, or do we just bolt and head back to Whitewall? They decide to go instead of waiting here for the 2 players to wake up, because everybody at this point's all been healed. They take them to the bottom of the stairs and wait there for them to wake up. It takes a couple minutes to get to the bottom of the stairs, or to where the other double doors were they had seen earlier. Bats probably should have attacked. I didn't really worry about that. These nuisance counter things I picked up from Fantasy Trip in the Labyrinth don't really seem to be worth the trouble. I might throw them in again just to see how things flow again. Okay, these many bats attack. They only do so much damage. They hit this location. How much armor you got there, kind of stuff. These guys are wearing, lots of them are wearing plate, arms and legs, and mostly arms and legs get hit. So the bats don't want to get through plate unless you got a bunch of them. the way I run the rules. But anyway, so they get there and they start talking. Okay, we wait till everybody's awake and we loot the rest of the temple and we go home. No, guys, it's not that easy. There are a couple of cultists still out there, in addition to the priest and his bodyguard. There's a couple of options on things that they can do. I'm trying to figure that out in my head. But while they're sitting there waiting for the half hour for these guys to wake up, there's at least one encounter. So that's where we ended the session. And by that point, it was 11:30ish, and one of my guys has been working overtime. He works covering the president kind of thing. He works like a news agency kind of deal. So he's been doing a whole lot, obviously, this week with everything that's going on up in D.C. And so he cut out, and then Pete had to get up, so he cut out, and so eventually we just shut down. I did talk a little bit with Bruce afterwards about concept gameplay stuff. We go way back, not to high school because I wore my D&D hat to school, and he didn't want to associate with somebody who would wear their D&D hat to school. But at college, the next year, we were at the same university. We were in different dorms, but he and Mike Myers were in the same dorm, and we would play D&D nearly every night. After Mike made sure I had all my homework done. So that's when we started playing, and we've been playing pretty much ever since. But then we kind of separated when I joined the Marine Corps and went off to when I went to pro school and then went to the Marine Corps and that kind of thing. But it was great to get back and get this telegaming going on and that kind of stuff. So it's been good. But we our game theorists, pragmatic gamers, maybe that's the term to use. And so we'll bounce ideas and thoughts across each other and that kind of thing. So we did a little bit of that before we closed out. It was good. And I brought up that, hey, we need to discuss this kind of stuff and bring these things out and ask about any other things. I know one of the other players is going to want to do this. I can adjust the hit location by delaying my attack. And while there's having bot sword and shield, there is some validity to that. I'll have to think about it. Well, anyway, happy gaming.